Jackson Jr. show at 1 p.m. The D.L. Hughley afternoon show at 2 p.m. A More Perfect Union with Dr. Nee Quarterlife Forte at 4 p.m. Here they come, y'all. Here they come. Here they come, y'all. Here they come.
Get out the way. Get out the way. Get out the way.
Tune in weekdays from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. for the talk of the town. Only on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about. Here they come, y'all. Here they come.
I was born by the river in a little tent. Oh, and just like the river, I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die. 'Cause I don't know what's up there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, but I know change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. I go to the movie.
You're asking today, how long will it take? Somebody's asking, how long will prejudice blind the visions of men? I come to say to you this afternoon, however difficult the moment, yes, sir, however frustrating the hour, it will not be long, because truth crushed earth will rise again. Yes, sir. How long? Not long. Yes, sir. Because no lie can live forever. Yes, sir. How long? Not long. How long? Because you shall reap what you sow. Yes, sir. How long? Not long. How long? Truth forever on the scaffold, wrong forever on the throne. Yes, that scaffold sways the future. Yes. Behind the dim unknown standeth God within the shadow, keeping watch above his own. How long? Not long. Because the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. Yes, how long? Not long. Not long. Because mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. Yes, he's trampling out the vintage where the grapes of wrath are stored. Yes, sir. He's loosed the fateful lightning of his terrible swift sword. Yes, his truth is marching on. Yes, he has sounded forth the trumpet that shall never call retreat. He is sifting out the hearts of men before his judgment seat. Oh, be swift, my soul, to answer him. Be jubilant, my feet. Our God is marching on. Glory, hallelujah. Glory, hallelujah. Glory, hallelujah. Glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on.
I don't care how many times I hear him. I get goosebumps every single time I listen. You know my edict. He is the greatest American this country has ever produced, full stop. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. In this hour, as promised, two conversations on the B side of this hour. Did you know that former President Jimmy Carter had a black pastor? That's right, Pastor Tony Lowden was the personal pastor to Jimmy and Rosalind Carter at the Maranatha Baptist Church in Plains. We will talk with Pastor Lowden on the back side of this hour about how we hold on to our faith in these uncertain times, and I look forward to that conversation on the backside. We commenced this hour, as promised, in conversation with the eldest son of Martin and Coretta Scott King. Honored to have my friend and brother back on this program, Martin Luther King III. Martin, how are you, sir?
I am doing great, Tavis. How are you?
Man, if I complained, I'd be an ingrate. And yet, this is a grim moment in some respects. But I wanted to have you on today for all the obvious reasons. It's a challenge for some of us to try to juxtapose honoring the legacy, the grand legacy of your father, while on the other hand, we are inaugurating Donald Trump. I mentioned moments ago, and when we come forward, I'm going to play some sound and get you to respond to it. But there is a reverend who I knew somebody was going to do it. Somebody would get to the podium today at this inauguration and invoke your father, and the Reverend Lorenzo Sewell out of Detroit, a church called the 180 Church, as you probably saw, got up and went to that line that everybody goes to on the right when they want to twist your father's words like a pretzel, the color of the skin versus the content of the character. We'll let you unpack we'll let you unpack that in just a moment when I give the audience some sound of what he had to say. So we'll hold on that. But let me just start with this opening question. How surreal, how strange, how bizarre, those are my words, not yours. You can speak for yourself. But how are you juxtaposing these two realities on this day, honoring your father and inaugurating Donald J. Trump?
Well, you know, first of all, as you know, my mother always called for a day on, not a day off.
That's
holiday, in its own meaning, is sort of a day where we relax, we sit back and chill. The reality is this holiday observance has always been about finishing the unfinished work, or at least getting something done. And the fact of the matter is, as we know, where we are right now is a very complex and almost tragic set of circumstances that, we're having to navigate through. First of all, let me say this. My prayers are with you and all of those in Los Angeles, all of those who've been impacted by the tragic fires, and lives have been interrupted and intercepted, and trying to put one's life back together. That, to me, that's first and foremost.
Thank
that's
you.
More than anything else.
Thank you, sir.
Lifting up the people of Los Angeles. Dad, I always am wondering and thinking, what would he think about he and his team and other civil and human rights leaders open doors? I mean, we used to have a Voting Rights Act. And John Lewis was attempting to get a voting bill so we'd never have to vote on it again. And his colleagues refused to vote that legislation, even as they knew he was transitioning. So it kind of it tells you kind of really where we are. And when you look at the universe is moving forward, humankind is attempting to move backward in leadership. Not all humankind, but certainly in leadership. The president talked about wanting to bring the country together, and many of the things that he's doing go adamantly against bringing together. European cultural supremacy, when you talk about going and taking something like the Panama Canal back, when you talk about changing the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, that evokes emotions for Americans, but are those things the right things? And more importantly, you're going to go and collect people, families, and deport them. And you're calling everybody who is a legal or an illegal immigrant, you're calling them criminals.
Yeah. It is, as MLK III just said, a tragic set of circumstances. When we come forward, I'll let him loose for the rest of this half hour. You're listening on the King holiday to the eldest son of Dr. King and Coretta Scott King, Martin Luther King III, on Tavis Smiley.
Generous listening. Charitable listening. It's why everybody wants to talk to Tavis. The conversation continues when we come forward.
Progressive presents Renter's MVP's Most Valuable Possessions. Today's MVP, Tom Kelly's carbon fiber mountain bike. Because more than riding his carbon fiber mountain bike, Tom loves telling people about his carbon fiber mountain bike. Friends, family, even a local barista knows about his carbon fiber mountain bike. And that's why Tom's carbon fiber mountain bike, if you haven't heard about it, is today's MVP. Keep your most valuable possessions protected by bundling your renters and auto insurance with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
Are you 50 or older? This news is for you. The CDC now recommends you get vaccinated against pneumococcal pneumonia. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at risk. People 50 or older are over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia compared to adults 18 to 49. Just one shot can help protect you. Learn more and schedule at vaxassist.com. That's VAXassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
More honesty than you can handle.
More empowerment than you can imagine.
You're tuned in to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and MLK III, Martin Luther King III, as we celebrate this holiday in honor of the person, once again, who I regard as the greatest American this country has ever produced. Delighted to be in conversation with my friend and brother Martin on this day. As I mentioned a little bit ago, the Reverend Lorenzo Sewell was invited to get to the podium today at the inauguration. You knew there was going to be at least one of them. There had to be one. And they were going to designate somebody to make the connection to Dr. King. And it was the Reverend Lorenzo Sewell out of Detroit, the 180 Church, who got tapped to make the connection as best they could. And here is what he had to say.
We pray that you use our president, that we will live in a nation where we will not be judged by the color of our skin, but by the content of our character. Heavenly Father, in the name of Jesus, we are so grateful today that you will use our 47th president so we would sing with new meaning, my country, 'tis of thee. Sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside. Let freedom ring, and because America is called to be a great nation, we believe that you will make this come true. So let freedom ring. From the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire, let freedom ring. From the mighty mountains of New York, let freedom ring.
Stop it! Stop it! I can't take no more. Just stop it, Miles. Stop it. Just stop that nonsense, man. Forgive me, y'all. I can't take it. Anyway, Martin Luther King III. What did you just hear?
I can't say I'm perplexed because, as you stated earlier, we knew that someone was going to invoke or attempt to invoke. The question is, when are we going to truly embrace truth? Now, it's difficult to do when you've elected someone who rarely tells the truth. So, the consciousness has to be aroused. What Dad was talking about was something that can become. And then I wasn't clear what this brother was trying to say. Maybe he's trying to use magic and invoke something magical to get the president to operate in a different way. And, what we need to look at is everything that he has talked about doing, such as he's talked about having about 200 executive orders signed today. And those orders do not build community, do not create a sense of harmony. Now, maybe there are some in this country who are willing and want to embrace what he is talking about, but it's not that's not how you build community. Dad showed us how you do that with his message and what he did. I think many things that you say every day, and I want you to know how much I personally appreciate you, because not only do you just speak truth to power, a lot of people say stuff, but you also do that. This is a reflection of how you live. What you do every day is how you live. And that has to be admired and respected, because it's lifting up the community. It's lifting up what we need to hear, as opposed to dividing and destroying. And so I'm just very, very concerned. I mean, I don't think we are yet aware of what we're going to engage in. Some of us are, but I mean, the masses do not have a clue of what kind of things are going to happen in the very short run. And we need prayer and we need action.
Yeah. I when I heard that, it was farcical for me. It is one thing to quote your father. It's another thing to invoke the memory of your father, to make reference to your father, but to stand up there and to try to emulate your father. You know, I said, what is this Negro doing? So it would be funny. I said farcical. It'd be funny if it weren't so serious. But to have him stand there and to try to channel your dad in that way was sick, and that's why I said I couldn't even take it. That was enough. That was enough of that clip for me. But it is fascinating for me.
But on this day, by the same token, people do that. They always, again, it's evoking the words. It's really more about action, which is what Dad was. Look, I know you're going to ask a question.
No, go ahead.
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No.
But I'm saying, you know, the problem is we idolize Dad. And in idolizing him, we take what his views and principles and what he forecasted, it's like we take it off of a shelf. And on the holiday, we talk about it. And then once the holiday's over, we take that and put it back on the shelf.
Yeah.
It's not idolizing him. It's living the ideals. And that's what we need to be doing throughout the year. In fact, one of the things we've done is we've launched an initiative called Realize the Dream, which is 100 million hours of service by Dad's 100th birthday, 2029. And so we are mobilizing young people. We want to start a young people movement, a movement of young people, not just young people, but it's about turning to each other to do something bigger than yourself. And that's on a permanent basis, not just for one time. But 100 million hours equates to about $3 billion of value. And so when we are working for the next 4 years to get to that number and to realize the dream, maybe we get a little closer to it. We're not going to achieve it, but we can get a little closer. This is going to be an extraordinary, maybe one of the most difficult sets of 4 years, at least in our lifetime, you and me and others who are in their 60s lifetimes. Now, you know, we certainly can't say what we're going through is worse than our ancestors, or it's very sad, but it doesn't. I mean, I can't even imagine you having no choice but to work from sun up to sunset. And you have no choice because you're forced by a system, by racism, to be, and then you don't get no pay, you don't get, and then people coming and just taking your wife or anyone you're close to and raping. I mean, that's not comparable to what we're going through today, because we have an ability to change things. By the way, we need to be back on, I've been saying this over the last few days, the only thing that people have a sense of understanding is money. We spent $1.4 trillion, $1.4 trillion last year as a black community. Now, only thing they will listen to, and we know this is true because for 85 days, people didn't ride buses in Montgomery.
That's right.
And the bus company had to moderate. We need to say we're going to stop, we're going to divest from certain areas in this society, because we are the ones who keep this economy going, and we don't yet realize that, because if we did, we would do something about it right away and say, okay, this is what you're saying, no more DEI, even though you know, that is what builds this. Well, I don't want to say diversity.
Mm-hmm.
It was us. This economy is the wealthiest economy on the planet. And it was because for 250 years, we know this, that our people were enslaved. So now we're still trying to engage with society that says it doesn't want to engage with us. So we need to decide, well, maybe we need to divest.
Yeah.
For a period of time. I guarantee you we'll get the attention then.
No question about it. Let me go back to something you said a moment ago, because I've known you for 30 plus years of my life. We've been friends and brothers, and I've never heard you say what you just said in the way you said it. So it jumped out at me, and I want to give you a chance to unpack it, because I feel similarly, and I've spoken about it in a number of speeches. When I wrote my book, Death of a King, about your fathers last year, I talked about it. Mm-hmm. But I've always believed, and the same is true of Nelson Mandela in real time, but I believe that sometimes your father's iconography, his iconography gets in the way of us really wrestling with his true message. And as you know, from I Have a Dream in 63 until they assassinated him in 68, he does live 5 years later. I tell folk, Dr. King didn't die after I Have a Dream. He lived another 5 years and did a lot more work, including the Poor People's Campaign, et cetera, et cetera. But when he comes out against the war in Vietnam, at that Beyond Vietnam speech, and the universe sort of turns against him, if he makes it back to Atlanta, he already talked to his secretary, Dora McDonald, and tells her from the hotel room at the Lorraine, if I get back on Sunday, put this in the bulletin, my sermon is going to be entitled, Why America May Go to Hell. Why America may, didn't consign, didn't condemn, but why America may go to hell. My question is, I wonder sometimes, to your point, whether our idolizing him, whether his iconography gets in the way of us wrestling with what he was really trying to say to us, if that makes any sense as a question.
It does, because again, as I said, what we do every holiday is people recite speeches. And all that's wonderful. I mean, but Dad didn't need that. I think if it inspires you to do the work, I mean, we got thousands of streets, we got libraries, we got schools, all of this named in his honor, but we still are not moving close enough to his ideology, which is for all of us. Mm-hmm. So my point is, yes, I think we do idolize, but we got to find a way to embrace the ideals and live them with full meaning. And as I said, if we're not, I just think we're at a critical point, and one of the only nonviolent things we can do is to divest. Yeah. I mean, we're not going to win the war just trying to physically encounter people with violence. That's not going to, an individual may win something, but more than likely you're going to end up in jail or under the jail. Yeah. But if we do this protest in a way, constructive, if we can get our community to understand that our value, and our dad was talking about dignity and respect and treating people like human beings. Some of what is happening is not us being treated like human beings. Yeah. So we have to demand that, and you demand that by making having your dollars make sense. It doesn't make sense to just go out and just buy any and everything. We're so connected to things, and in fact, the book that we just released, by the way, we released a book called "What Is My Legacy," and it really talks about fulfillment. Happiness. I mean, somebody can give me, I don't want one, but somebody can give me a Lamborghini, I'll be happy for a day or two. Yeah. But ultimately, we need to be seeking fulfillment, which is truth and justice and righteousness. Yeah. That's what we need to create, that climate. And it's going to be difficult to do in this climate, but it's not something that we cannot do. We have to first know it, embrace it, and live it, and execute it.
I've got 3 minutes left here. I'm going to come back to that word truth that you've referenced a few times now. Your dad had any number of themes when he spoke, and he'd always talk, as you well know, about unarmed truth and unconditional love. That's his phrase, unarmed truth and unconditional love. Over these next 4 years, how concerned are you about the condition of truth in this country?
Well, I'm extraordinarily concerned, largely because we've had a president who's back, who it was confirmed that well over 15,000 things untrue he actually are enumerated, and continues to do that. That people don't really change their stripes. I would wish and hope he could, but I'm very concerned about the truth and where you go to identify, because you really do have to research. And we've been dumbed down for the last 25 years. We've been getting dumber and dumber. This sounds strange, but it's true. Most of us are uninformed. That's what the real issue is. If we could get people informed, engaged, and educated so that they understand, maybe they will perform differently. You know, we don't know, and we ignorant and proud. That's sad.
Yeah.
But some of us are ignorant and proud. We got to change that notion. God made us special as human beings, and yet we're not embracing even what God has told us who we are.
Yeah. I've got 60 seconds left here. Dr. King and Coretta Scott King only have one grandchild. That is your daughter. How is that grandbaby doing?
Man, she is wonderful. We are so proud of her, and every day she makes Andre and I proud by who she shows up in the world. She doesn't have to do what she's doing, and we don't even push her into, social justice and human rights. That's what she's excited about. She's a change maker, and she's mobilizing with other young people to change the conditions that we're all going through at this point, navigating through.
Yep. Please give my best to your wife, Andrea, and always, of course, honored to have you on this program. As I said earlier, it is a strange and bizarre moment. Only happened, once or twice, to be inaugurating one Donald Trump on the day that we celebrate Dr. King. But who better to have on this program for these 30 minutes than Martin Luther King III to try to put all of this in context for us, which he did quite brilliantly and eloquently. Martin, I love you, man. I'll talk to you soon. Stay strong.
Man, love you too, man. Thank you for what you do. Really appreciate you. Bless you.
Likewise. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
Why does Tavis say when we come forward?
Because he's not going back.
And you don't have to go back either. Forward ever, backward never. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward. Forward.
Welcome to Staples.
I am so pumped. My business is going to kill it this year.
Awesome. How can I help?
First, a new computer.
With Staples Home and Office Hot Deals, you save big on tech.
And new posters.
Save on custom printing, too.
And,
a new chair?
A chair? Who has time to sit?
Maybe all your new clients?
Now you're talking.
With Staples Home and Office Hot Deals, you'll find huge savings on custom prints, storage, chairs, and tech. And now save up to $175 off your print order. Exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details. Ends 2/1.
Robinhood Gold members can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on annual retirement contributions. With Robinhood Gold, the perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive a 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold $5 a month for 1 year from first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to Robinhood.com/boost. Robinhood Financial LLC member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC.
I'm Morgan Wood with the Black Information Network, reporting live from Washington, D.C. for the presidential inauguration. President Trump just wrapped up his first address as the nation's 47th president, saying the golden age of America begins right now, adding, "We will be the envy of every nation." He made the comments during a speech after being sworn in at a ceremony in the Capitol Rotunda. In his speech, he acknowledged dignitaries in attendance, former presidents and Vice President Harris, but he did not mention former Vice President Pence. He touched on a number of issues like immigration and the economy, and he thanked the Black and Latino communities for their vote, adding, in honor of Martin Luther King Jr. Day, Trump said he will strive to make Dr. King's dream a reality. With continuing coverage of the presidential inauguration, I'm Morgan Wood on the Black Information Network.
Shop limited time deals during Lowe's Pro Savings Days. Get a free adjustable stand when you buy a DeWalt 12-inch miter saw. That's a $229 value. Valid 1/13 through 1/24 while supplies last.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The road to the Super Bowl for the Rams ended in Philadelphia. The Eagles hung on for a 28-22 win. Had the Rams won, they would have hosted the NFC Championship game next Sunday at SoFi against Magic Johnson's Washington Commanders. Last night, the Lakers played their first game in the Intuit Dome in Inglewood. The Clippers beat the Lakers 116-102. 4th straight win for the Clippers, 21 points and 19 rebounds for Vika Zubac. The winning streak for USC's women's basketball team is now at 13. They pulled out a 73-66 win Sunday at Indiana. 22 points for USC star Juju Watkins. Tonight in Atlanta, a potential history-making moment. Notre Dame and Ohio State are meeting up for the College Football National Championship. Notre Dame coach Marcus Freeman is on the doorstep of becoming the first African-American coach to win the Division I national title in football. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio that's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Count on Lowe's to lend a hand to prepare, recover, and rebuild during the wildfires. Lowe's is part of your neighborhood and want to make sure you have the supplies you need when you need them. Visit Lowe's in store or online to get emergency supplies now and learn about relief efforts in your area.
We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Worried about eviction? You have rights, and Stay Housed LA can help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between LA County, the City of Los Angeles, and local service providers. From Lancaster to Long Beach, we're here to help you with tenant education workshops, legal clinics, free legal services for eligible tenants, and online resources about tenant protection laws. Don't face eviction alone. Call our hotline at 1-888-694-0040. That's 1-888-694-0040. Or visit stayhousedla.org. Stay Housed LA, keeping Los Angeles residents in their homes. Stay Housed LA, your rights, your home, our community. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know the United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time? Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
Helping to make you the most knowledgeable person in your circle of friends. This is Tavis Smiley.
I think that is an answer to that myth, and it is that time is neutral. It can be used either constructively or destructively. And I'm absolutely convinced that the forces of ill will in our nation, the extreme righteous in our nation, have often used time much more effectively than the forces of goodwill. And it may well be that we will have to repent in this generation, not merely for the vitriolic words of the bad people and the violent actions of the bad people, but for the appalling silence and indifference of the good people who sit around and say, wait on time. Somewhere we must come to see that social progress never rolls in on the wheels of inevitability. It comes through the tireless efforts and the persistent work of dedicated individuals And without this hard work, time itself becomes an ally of the primitive forces of social stagnation. And so we must help time, and we must realize that the time is always right to do right.
The time is always right, R-I-G-H-T, to do, time is ripe, or I should say R-I-P-E, to always do what is right. The time is always ripe to do what is right. That's a message that Donald Trump needs to hear today. In his inaugural speech today, he did say that he would do his part to help make Dr. King's dream a reality. I'm not sure what part of that he's talking about, but we shall see in the days, weeks, and months to come. But we continue to celebrate the person I regard as the greatest American this country's ever produced, Dr. King, on this MLK holiday. We thank MLK III for that conversation just moments ago. Deeply thank him for taking the time to join us on this program today. And now, as promised, a conversation with Pastor Lowden. Did you know that former President Jimmy Carter had a black pastor? Pastor Tony Lowden was the pastor of the Maranatha Baptist Church, where Jimmy Carter and Rosalind Carter worshiped for decades. But until his transition, he remained President Carter's personal pastor even after leaving Maranatha. I'm pleased to have him on this program now to talk briefly about how we hold on to our faith in these uncertain times. I said earlier, I'm not exactly sure what faith leaders are in Donald Trump's ear this time around, although I did see Franklin Graham give the invocation earlier today. Again, I digress on that as well. But how does one counsel and offer spiritual advice to a U.S. president? Pastor Lowden, good to have you on, sir. How are you today?
Thank you, Tavis. Thank you for having me here today.
It's my good honor. Happy King Day to you, and thank you for your time. I want to cover a few things in the time that we have here. Let me just start with that question. How does one go about offering spiritual advice to a U.S. president?
I can tell you this, it was one of the hardest things in my life to do because I was so admired by all the things that President Carter has done for the black community and others all around the world. He was a true servant leader with a servant heart. And I would say more importantly, he was offering spiritual advice to me, but there was times where, iron sharpened irons. And I think one of the things he was doing was living his latter days out of my service to the world by working in criminal justice reform, helping men and women who are homeless in the street. Anytime I would come to see him, he would ask me 4 questions. Where have you been? What have you done? Who have you helped? And how can I help you help them? Because he was no longer able to physically leave his home and go do the work, but he still wanted to serve. So I became the engine for him to go out and do what was called to do, what our Lord and Savior calls us to do to help people.
Give me those 4 questions again. Those are questions that I want to hold on to, questions that each of us should be asking ourselves and those around us. Give me those 4 questions again.
Where have you been? What have you done? Who have you helped? And how can I help you help them?
Man,
it seems to me, Tavis, that should be the litmus test to all our leaders. Not how you fall on the abortion question, not how you fall on the gay question, but where have you been? What have you done? What proof do you show us that you've helped somebody? And how can we, when you come to our communities and ask us for our vote, how can we help you help them? Because for decades we've had people put their left hand on the Bible and raise their right hand, and the moment they take it off, they don't see the people sleeping on the streets of Washington, D.C.
Hello.
They don't see our veterans coming home who have been fighting in some of the longest wars, self-medicating and end up in our prison. They neglect to understand that Parchman Prison in Mississippi and Angola Prison in Louisiana are former plantations. They forget to ask the question that majority of our prisons around the nation are on former plantations. So we as African Americans in this nation are asking ourselves the question, do you see that we're ending back up on the plantation after we survived slavery, civil rights, Reconstruction, survived Vietnam, all those things that we've given to this nation, and our children are ending up back on the plantation?
Brother, that'll preach. As a matter of fact, I think it just did. I think it just did here on national radio. Tell me about your time. I'll get back to President Carter specifically in a moment, but tell me about your time as pastor of Maranatha Baptist Church in Plains, Georgia, the home church for decades of Jimmy and Rosalind Carter. Tell me about your time there as pastor.
It was an incredible time. It really taught me so much about not only President Carter and Rosalind Carter, but it also taught me something about the South.
Mm-hmm.
That in a little town called Plains, Georgia, there was a church called Maranatha Baptist Church that was formed because a black man could not join Plains Baptist Church.
Mm.
And 20 white members, including President Carter and Rosalind Carter, left that church and established Maranatha Baptist Church. And fast forward, they did this in 1976, and fast forward, in 2019, I become his pastor, the first black man to Maranatha Baptist Church, the pastor to a president, a former president, for a church that stood up for blacks being able to preach to whites.
Yeah.
And so here's a town that is still divided by a railroad tracks in 2024, where blacks live on one side and whites live on the other side.
Mm. What did that say to you about Jimmy and Rosalind Carter, that they left the church because they wouldn't let a black person join?
He was intentional, Tavis. He was intentional. He was intentional about who he was. Most people don't know that there was a black man, a black bishop by the name of Bishop William Decker Johnson, who introduced Jesus Christ to Jimmy Carter when he was a boy. But this same bishop could not come up on the porch and speak to his father. He had to stand at the gate of the farm and talk to him about the conditions of the African Americans working on the farm. This same bishop introduced Jimmy Carter to Jesus Christ. Rachel Clark, who would teach him fishing, walk with him in the woods and making sure that nothing would happen to him, and raising him, introduced him to Christ and taught him about what it means to be married and how he should take care of his bride when he gets older. And this same president in 2020 got in his wheelchair with Secret Service and took me to that unmarked grave site in Archie, Georgia, where these African Americans that made a difference in his life in Archie, Georgia, and he rolled over in his wheelchair and pointed out the headstones. This is Bishop William Decker Johnson, who made a major impact in my life. He also pastored churches all around the Midwest. He also started a school on trades and industrials way back then for African Americans. He went on and pointed out this man over here fought in World War I, a black man. His son fought in World War II. This man over here, this is Rachel Clark, who taught me fishing. He gave me the history that black people made a difference in his life and during difficult situations in times. This was before civil rights. This was before we were completely free.
This show today, Pastor Lowden, this show is interesting. It's disparate in the sense that we heard a clip earlier of the Reverend Lorenzo Sewell twisting Dr. King's words in his benediction today at the inauguration, just a bastardization of what King said and meant. And now we hear a story of Jimmy Carter leaving his original church because they wouldn't let a black person join the church. It's a fascinating show today, and these dots are connecting in interesting sorts of ways. When we come forward, I want to play, in case you did not hear it, Dave Chappelle hosted SNL over the weekend. He had a powerful story that he shared about Jimmy Carter. I'll play that for you when we come forward, in case you did not hear it. And a great deal more with Pastor Tony Lowden when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Hope, agency, dignity. This is Tavis Smiley.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Hey, good morning. You're heading to the airport, right?
Yep, thanks for checking. I like the car. How long have you been a rideshare driver?
About 3 years now, but I really enjoy it.
Isn't it hard to make money these days with the price of gas being so high?
Not for me. I use Upside, the free app that gives you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get real money back when you get gas with the Upside app?
Yep, I get real cash back every time I get gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
I'll make around $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code MOTOR for an extra 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code MOTOR for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code MOTOR.
To our beloved greater Los Angeles community affected by the devastating wildfires, we stand with you. From all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, our hearts go out to those who've lost loved ones, homes, businesses, belongings, and precious memories. In these challenging times, we're here to keep you informed and connected. For the latest updates, resources, and ways to help your neighbors in need, stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580. Together, we'll rebuild. Together, we'll recover. Together, we are Los Angeles strong. KBLA Talk 1580. Your voice, your community, your station.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Made fresh daily in Lamert Park,
Los Angeles, California.
You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and the personal pastor, the former President Jimmy Carter, Pastor Tony Lowden, who I'm honored to have on this program. If you did not hear Dave Chappelle this weekend on SNL, he killed it, as he often does or always does. But take a listen to this part.
I was in the Middle East years ago. After I quit my show, I was trying to find out what I wanted to do with my life. And while I was there, Jimmy Carter flew to Israel. So everybody in the region was talking about a former American president being in the Middle East. And while he was in Israel, a book of his was released, and its title was very controversial in Israel. And the title of the book was Palestine, Peace, Not Apartheid. And people were very mad in Israel. There was a lot of mean stories that came out in the paper, but some people were supportive. And while he was there, Jimmy Carter said, I want to go to the Palestinian territory. And the Israeli government said it's too dangerous. And if you go, we cannot protect you. And man, Jimmy Carter went anyway. I will never forget the images of a former American president walking with little to no security while thousands of Palestinians were cheering him on. And when I saw that picture, it brought tears to my eyes. I said, I don't know if that's a good president, but that right there, I am sure, is a great man. It made me feel very proud.
Dave Chappelle went on to say that the presidency is no place for petty people. The presidency is no place for petty people. My time is getting tight, Pastor Lowden. When you hear Dave Chappelle share that story as he did this week on SNL, tell me very quickly about Jimmy Carter's courage.
Well, that piece, when I heard it, some family members sent it to me, and I watched it last night. It brought tears to my eyes because I heard from the Secret Service that went with him. And one of them young men that was part of that detail, by the name of Alejandro, a Latino brother, told me about that story a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
They had no air support. They had no military support. It was just his detail, his Secret Service detail. He's the longest president that had a Secret Service detail for 40-plus years. And his courage to be able to go into the war zone and try to bring peace, his courage to go to Africa to help end the Guinea War when no one else will be concerned about the Guinea War, his courage to build homes in Tennessee for poor people who are black, white, Republicans, Democrats, and independents, even when he was sick, even when he had fallen. The courage, I've never seen anyone like it.
Yeah.
And I want to tell you something. We celebrate MLK Day. I would ask people, look at the history of the number of African Americans that President Carter appointed into office, into justices. He did more for African Americans than any other president combined with all the ones that are alive today.
No, there's no, to your reference about King but in particular, it was Jimmy Carter. I mentioned when he passed away, I had the honor of interviewing Jimmy Carter a dozen times. He was always very kind to me. We were friends, and I wasn't his pastor. I was his friend. And it was Jimmy Carter. The minute he got into office, one of the first things he did was to pardon all those persons who did not want to fight in Vietnam and ran to Canada and other places. Jimmy Carter had the courage in the 70s to pardon all these persons who refused to fight in the Vietnam War. And then he went about the business of giving Dr. King the highest civilian honor this country can give you, the Presidential Medal of Freedom, posthumously. But Jimmy Carter looked out for MLK as we celebrate the MLK with Pastor Tony Lowden on Tavis Smiley.
What's your quarrel with the world? You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Welcome to Staples.
I am so pumped. My business is going to kill it this year.
Awesome. How can I help?
First, a new computer.
With Staples Home and Office Hot Deals, you save big on tech.
And new posters.
Save on custom printing, too.
And,
a new chair?
A chair? Who has time to sit?
Maybe all your new clients?
Now you're talking.
With Staples Home and Office Hot Deals, you'll find huge savings on custom prints, storage, chairs, and tech. And now save up to $175 off your print order. Exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details. Ends 2/1.
KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Imagine a Los Angeles where everyone can thrive, where communities have access to the resources they need to succeed. That's the vision of Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. They're dedicated to improving life in LA County by providing educational support, employment assistance, and spaces for community engagement. By 2050, they want LA to be the best place to connect, create, learn, live, and play. They're working toward an education system that's well-resourced and culturally responsive, becoming a hub for artists and innovators, and making sure everyone has access to healthy food, quality healthcare, and safe housing. It's about building a future where we all have the chance to succeed. We invite you to learn more about their mission and get involved with Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Time is up. The IRS is in full collection mode for 2024, issuing liens, levies, and garnishments to anyone who has a past tax debt or unfiled tax returns. Don't wait till it's too late. Your paycheck and bank accounts are at risk of being seized. Call now and stop the collection process today. If you're living check to check, no matter how much you're making, you still may qualify for the Fresh Start programs offered by the IRS to reduce or even eliminate your tax debt. It's just a 5-minute call to get your options, and it's free. If you owe back taxes, have years of unfiled tax returns, under audit, have a wage or bank levy, or finally just want to sleep better, business or personal, call the experts at Republic Tax Relief while there's still time. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, and tough. This veteran-owned company has the fight you need to take on the IRS. Don't go at it alone. The call is free. Call their hotline number now, 800-652-1714. That's 800-652-1714. Find out if you qualify today. Call 800-652-1714 or go to republictaxrelief.com.
Let's get back to more of this rich dialogue with Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Pastor Tony Lowden, who was the pastor of Maranatha Baptist Church in Plains, Georgia, where Jimmy and Rosalynn Carter worshiped for many, many years. They were the founders, in fact, of that church. But until he took his last breath, Pastor Tony Lowden was the personal pastor to Jimmy Carter, and he's a black man, which is a beautiful thing. I've got 3 minutes left. I'll give it all to you, Pastor Lowden. Franklin Graham, I saw give the invocation today, so it gives us some sense, as if we needed it, more evidence, some sense of the clergy, I'll put it that way, who are in Donald Trump's ear. But if you had access to the ear of Donald J. Trump today and the days to come, what would you share with him? What would you say to him in the 2.5 minutes I have left, sir?
I would tell him that what I learned from President Carter, that when we put our hands on the Bible and raise our right hand to make a covenant with our God, we make this promise that faith and hope is going to be the bookends for everything that we do in our democracy. And then that faith also becomes the rebar of our democracy, like rebar in concrete. Our nation needs hope in our government again. We were here before with Richard Nixon, and President Carter brought faith and hope back into the White House. We need that in our nation today, not a Christianity that lends itself to hate when it wants to, not a Christianity that lends itself to unclean when it wants to, but a Christianity that believes in the fruits of the Spirit in Galatians, where it talks about love and long suffering and hope for our nation. And this is what we're supposed to do. When I walked and took President Carter's body back to the White House, to the Capitol, when walking down Pennsylvania Avenue, President Carter picked me to be his pastor. I have the ballot that he left behind for me when he passed away in his office, where he checked yes for Tony Lowden to be his pastor. And I walked him back to the Capitol down Pennsylvania Avenue and gave his eulogy there in Plains Baptist Church. I was his last appointment because he believed in faith and hope for our nation. And this is what our servant leaders need. This is who we are as a nation. And we need to have someone that can speak to a president boldly and clearly about that covenant that you were supposed to keep.
Yeah, I fear that no one's going to do that part. Donald Trump only wants to hear what he wants to hear. But I digress on that for now. This has been an amazing conversation. We'll have to have him back just to talk about some other things that are on my mind. I had a conversation with a great scholar once, Lewis Gordon, out of Vanderbilt, who asked me, Tavis, do you think it's possible for a true Christian to ever be president of these United States? Can a true Christian, that is, a true Christian, be president of these United States? He asked me that question a decade ago, and I'm still wrestling with it. We'll have Pastor Tony Lowden back. I would love to just go around a few rounds with him on that question. Can a true Christian be president of these United States? We'll save that for next time. For now, I thank him for those 4 questions. Where have you been? What have you done? Who have you helped? And how can I help you help them? Pastor Lowden, what an amazing conversation. We'll do it again, sir. All the best to you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for all that you do, Tavis.
Thank you, sir. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
President Trump just wrapped up his first address as the nation's 47th president, saying the golden age of America began.